What's up, desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are here for our pre-Olympia pre-show with IFB Pro Phil Klahar and also Mark from Mark's Max Muscle. And we're going to be breaking down a little bit of I was about to accidentally almost swear, the classic physique, and we'll also break down the open, what went down at prejudging of both of those events, and also we'll touch on Keone Pearson from the 212. But firstly, Phil, first time on the channel, my man. Actually, first time for both of you on this channel, I believe, specifically.
Yes.
So,
yes. Thank you for
Phil,
having me, man. I appreciate it. It's an honor.
yeah, man. And
Absolutely.
obviously, you retired this year as well. So, we'll get into that a little bit. But, yeah, congratulations on obviously an awesome career. Like, you really came on really, really strong late in your career as well, which was cool to see. And it's actually a bit of a rarity. So, that was awesome. And
Thank
Mark
you.
as well, obviously, from Mark's Max Muscle. Man, you got an awesome channel. And, you know, I'm sure you'll be on the channel again as well in the future going forward. So I've enjoyed the podcast we've done lately. I don't know on whose channel we do them on, but it tends to be on one of the guys' channels, and we just jump on whenever.
Project Bodybuilding and EP09, I believe. A couple of them.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Definitely.
Bodybuilding News Network, another one. Saunch.
Yeah, no, I always get them confused between each other, like which one we're doing. I'm just like, I'll just jump in. Just let me know.
Same group.
But
yeah. Same group.
yeah, exactly. But we have a classic physique. We'll touch on that first before we get to the open. And guys, let us know in the comments as well who you have winning the 2024 Mr. Olympia, and like the stream as well, obviously. But for the classic physique, I think it's pretty clear cut, at least in my eyes, that it's Chris Bumstead. I haven't watched too much of a narrative online, but I've seen people saying, yeah, 6-time and things like that. For both of you guys, is it pretty clear? Mark, I see you nodding your head.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Sommerfeld, his conditioning from behind, he's right there with him, but nowhere else is he. Bumstead's just too much everywhere else. But I was impressed. I wouldn't be surprised if they give Sommerfeld second.
Yeah, he came on really strong, and I was thinking of him more in like a 6th, 7th position going into this Olympia. So it's crazy that he's just jumped so far up. Phil, what did you think of this top three and like how it sort of played out? Because it was like, I don't think anyone really had Mike, and maybe a few people had Uruz in their top three, but a lot of people had that Ramon, Wesley, Seabum top three, and it didn't play out that way.
It was very shocking when I was watching it, me and Patty. Visser was off. He definitely was off. I saw that as soon as he came out. But this was not what I mean, of course, Hurst, I was expecting him to be there. I was expecting to see Dino there, but this was very shocking. But, I mean, they made the right decisions. I mean, these guys look absolutely remarkable. And, yes, Chris Bumstead, he's in a league of his own. I mean, last year he was a little off and he still won. This year he's on with some minor injuries that he has. Get ready for the show. But he looks amazing. So I don't see no doubt he's going to take home six.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. One thing I found interesting, I don't know if both of you guys watched this live, but there was across all the other divisions, I haven't seen where Steve has had to tell them, hey guys, stay in the box, stay on the line. And it was happening a lot between these guys. And I was watching it live and I'm going, they've been warned a couple times. Like, I don't think they're going to kick Seabum out of the first call out though.
Yeah, I think they specifically said for the open guys. I think the big warning was for the open guys. So, but they're giving them.
They did say, specifically the open guys. They did, however, preface, and they did say to the classic guys, we're not going to tolerate it this year, because I did watch the actual Olympia TV where they did the check-ins, which was monotonously boring, but it was good to get those little bits, at least for me. but the check-ins, like once you watch one of them for the open, I mean, if you're sitting through like the Bikini and him saying the same thing, it's going to get pretty boring. But I wanted to watch to see if there was anything there. And then we did get to see the sneak peeks of Seabum and what he weighed and his height and all that sort of stuff. I was actually surprised, like he was 6'1.5".
6'1.5".
I didn't think he was actually that tall.
Say that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was actually also wondering as well, Uruz has the hair, and I'm like, a lot of these guys have a lot of hair on the top now, and they're doing the height, and they get heighted the next 3 times they compete from whenever it was last year, or whenever they said that, and then that's their height for the rest of their career. And I'm noticing a lot of guys are having the hair on the top, so I'm like, see the guy behind Uruz as well? I'm like, I wonder if that's specific to heighten it a little bit more, because they can't just like push the hair into their head, so I don't know.
yeah, if it was really bunched up too, you wouldn't be able to really push down on it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because before it was people like stretching each other out to be taller, and now it's now it's for hair. So it's a good. It's I like the way they're getting creative with switching it up. But what did you think of Urz's package, guys? Like Phil, what did you think of the package he brought this year versus the package he's brought in previous years? He seemed to be like maybe a little bit fuller.
Not just Fuller. I think he definitely put on some muscle because last year,
Yeah,
I was looking at the pictures from last year Olympia. He looked very narrow, even a lot in his legs. His upper body was overpowering his legs slightly. But this year, he's I don't know how he did it, but I mean, he put on some muscle and it's good quality muscle, and he looks full, and he looks very amazing. His conditioning is spot on, but just the size overall, his chest. You look at his front chest here, the fullness, his front back shots. He did an amazing job. He definitely put some muscle on, and he was much fuller.
yeah, no, absolutely. Mark, what did you think of Urz?
Yeah, no, his chest, I noticed, like Phil said, his chest striations were a lot more prominent. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, his arms, the biceps,
Yes.
when he went for the bicep shot, and that's where he needed it. I'd like to see a little more thickness in the back, but I don't think that was his strong suit last year. I think he also needed a little more thickness in the back. So, I mean,
Yeah, I think he definitely improved the back a bit, and he's still got that trademark conditioning in the glutes as well. So, I think this is a much better package. I actually wondered, I don't know if we talked about it, Mark, on a podcast, or if I was just talking about it, but I always wondered if he just pushed a little bit too far down in his preps as well, because he did get up to like 260 odd pounds, I think he said, in his off season, where he still looked in decent shape, and he came down obviously a long way in terms of weight, but I'm like, it didn't look like he had that much conditioning to, have that much body fat to lose.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, I heard how big he gets. He could maybe even do open. So if you're cutting into that much muscle, I don't know.
Phil, how long do you think it would take a guy like like an Urz here or a Mike Sommerfeld to, how many years or months would it take for them to get to open? Essentially, like if you think they're holding themselves back a little bit at this stage, because you're obviously an open competitor.
It'll take some time, honestly, because the open, you have to have that dense quality size as well as with the conditioning. And I saw Hurst when he put on the weight, he looked good, but even if he was to try to come down and get a little bit leaner, lower body fat, he's still going to be outside. So I still think it'll take Hurst, I would say, from what I'm seeing, probably possibly 3 years. It could be sooner, but I'm saying quality. Normally when you rush it, that conditioning won't stick when you rush putting on that muscle.
Mm-hmm.
I think Derek has run into some of that problems now with this week. But I would say probably about 3 years. What's the gentleman's name with the beard?
Mike Sommerfeld.
So I saw him a couple of weeks coming into the show. He was posing with Dino. And he looked, I didn't know he was classic because he looked like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
From what I saw. And honestly, Hurst is having about a height, but I think between both of them, you give them a good 3.5 years of, really being smart about it. They'll do very well in the open. Very well. As long as they don't lose their lines and keep that waist the way it is, because that's the key thing. Even with Keone, when he does decide to go into the open, it's just keeping those lines and keeping that symmetry and that flow almost the same, because as we know, as you put on size, depending on how much size you put on, everything grows. Your waistline as well as the midsection. So if they do it smartly and take their time, about 3.5 years, I think both of them could put on some good quality muscle and compete in the open.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for these guys like that, if they want to move to the open, I think they just have to push the limit of the classic physique first, and then they don't have to sit out maybe as long, because I know Urz, he says, I'm at the limit or whatever, but previously he's like 3 pounds off, but if he's weighing in with full clothes on, he's not, having to push down for that weigh-in, particularly in terms of water and stuff, then it's like, well, realistically, if he, pulled the food back a little bit without doing anything too detrimental to that last minute prep, then he could probably, still add X amount of weight. And now they have put the weight limit up as well.
Or even try doing 212 first. I would be smart and jump into the next class and trying to jump 2 classes up. To me, that could be a positive or a negative, but to jump into the 212 and see how you rank there. I mean, you do well in the 212s, you know what I mean, and dominate a couple of shows and possibly win Olympia, then you'd want to think about moving in the Open. I think some people try to push themselves into the Open too soon, and a lot of them is just not that gifted to do that. So I would say take it one step at a time if, you know, I was hers.
Yeah. Yeah. But the height factor as well for some of these guys, I don't know about Uruz in terms of the height because he's looking quite tall there next to C-Bum. So I think maybe his weight might be a little much. But some of the slightly shorter guys, like, you know, like your Mike Summerfields, maybe could fit into that cap for sure if he ever decided to do that. But yeah, but now he's moving up in the classic. I don't think he'll be doing that in the next couple of years for sure. But someone like Ramon, he's just off to the right of the screen there. I'll bring him up just on here. It might be a little bit laggy, but at least you can see sort of what he was looking like. But during that prejudging, I was watching it, and it was hard for me to watch as someone who's competed before because you could see him start to sweat, and probably in his mind was probably like, oh no, I can't sweat here, and he just started to pour. And you often see that with competitors, as soon as they break that sweat, it's like they get more of that nervous sweat and they just pour sweat, and he was saturated. And I felt bad for him, and even Breon was like, oh, like he needs to wipe himself down. Yeah, because it was like he almost was like, someone get this guy a towel. It was actually probably as bad as what happened with Krizo.
Rubbing around, it was it was worse than Krizo.
Yeah, it was just I couldn't believe it because you're looking at this physique that came out just prior to that. There's not one drip of sweat on him anywhere, but obviously they put him through comparisons. And the thing that actually killed Ramon as well, he was in the first call out, and then they said, Ramon, you stay there. So they made him go through several rotations of the first call out, several rotations of the second, and during that several rotations of the second, I think that was when he just started to go, and I was like, oh, that sucks. And when you're under those hot lights and you get nervous, maybe not even nervous, just that sweat you get when you start breaking a sweat. So I really felt for Ramon. But what do we think of the package? Like, I'll go to you first, Mark. What did you think of Ramon's look at this Olympia? Because looking there, he looks pretty good.
I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I seen the package and I thought he was probably still gonna get second. But after they put him out, I guess it makes sense. And then I seen the stuff coming off him, and I thought, oh my goodness. That is terrible. Like, maybe that was why. Maybe they seen it before we seen it. But I thought he looked decent. More than decent.
Yeah. I did notice, Phil, I don't know if you saw this, but like in the back double, this was right after he was sweating, but next to Breon's back was like etched out, so dense and detailed. Almost remind me a little bit of like Sean Clarita when he's like really dense and filled out, but maybe not quite that level of fullness. Is that where you think maybe that's why, and in combination with the sweating as to why Ramon sort of is on the outside looking in?
Honestly, man, look, Breon looked great. I mean, when I was on a podcast with Chris Cormier on muscle discourse. Sorry. We spoke about that. You know, he has that because he won the Olympia twice, I think it was. He has that original classic physique body. Of course, the standards went up now with Chris Bumstead. He looked really, really good, but I still think Dino looked way better he did at the Arnold. His glutes was shredded. He looked it really, really good. I think they pushed him. I mean, I've been through that with Steve. A couple of shows back in the day when I start off well, and then Steve started pushing you with the posing. You know what I mean? And then you start to see some flaws. The only flaw he started getting was sweating, and then of course his tan was just dripping profusely. And you know, they get you for that. I mean, your color is key. But I still, like Mark said, I had him 100%. Still in the second place slot, even after when they came out. I was just blown away. Summerfeld just came in so much drier. And I mean, his conditioning was at another level, and he just shocked everybody. But yeah, I definitely saw, at second place, sorry, but it didn't go that well. And I wasn't expecting Hurst to come in looking this great. I mean, he did say, when they were doing the athletes, not the interview when they were all on stage, that, he made the adjustments. I could see it in his face too. His jaw was a little bit more like a little bit more growth to it. You know what I mean? But he's shocked. It's just, listen, you can come in at your best no matter what. Someone is always going to come in for that spot. And like I said, we were looking for Vissers. We all had the guys we're all looking to see, and it completely flipped the script. Completely.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's exciting though. Like I love the change up. I mean, as much as the guys, I feel broken hearted for the guys like Wesley as well, because Wesley was a guy that everyone was touting as a guy that could potentially win this contest. And to go from that to looking like you're in 7th to 8th, that's got to be a tough pill to swallow. But it goes to show this class is really, really close. But we'll quickly touch on Wesley, then we'll get to the open guys. But what did we think of Wesley Vissers at this show? To me, I'll quickly go. From the back is where he sort of, I think, fell down just in the legs a little bit. And it's being nitpicky, but just comparing him to the likes of Sebum that have that perfectly balanced out, where he's got his, the knees bowed out, the quads sweep off from the back, and then he's got more detail there and more sort of like lumps and bumps that just sort of look really, really good, I suppose, and completes the physique. But I mean, I thought Wesley looked great overall, but maybe not quite as good as the Arnold. What did you think overall, Phil?
Well, when I saw Wesley, it was about 4 weeks out, 3 weeks out. This guy was freaking, he was ready. He was ready for the show. The problem with that is carrying that in negative, almost negative, body fat that long. I was telling Patty, I truly believe that's what hurt him. I think he could have did way better, but staying that lean with that low body fat for 4 weeks out from the show, pretty much show ready, your body can't sustain that for too much longer. Structurally, he's a great bodybuilder. He has the look. He has the physique for classic. I already knew his legs was going to be a problem, but the Arnold, his front quads look bigger. From the back, he looks smaller at the Arnold. But this here, it just looked like he over-dieted. Just like, I hate to say it, the Giant Killer, it's just he over-dieted. And I know he wanted to win and he wanted to push himself to that dark place, but sometimes your body is not going to hold on to that. Then you have the nerves. So he looked great, but I just think with all those things put in play, it just cost him being where he needed to be.
Yeah, I totally. That's a great assessment. Mark, do you think sort of the same? What do you think of Wesley's overall look?
Yeah, I think the quads were definitely a little bit down, and I hate to say it, but I wasn't really looking at Mike like as a top prospect. I seen him and I was like, wow, they're gonna give him a good spot, but I didn't think they were gonna put him. But I seen him, and then I seen Ramon, and I thought, okay, Ramon looks better than Wesley, is what I initially thought, and I didn't think Urs was that much better than Ramon, but then when they started placing them, I guess Urs was better. But yeah, I didn't.
Someone said
I didn't think that he was at his best.
I like how people are picking up on your mannerisms. Wesley needed more things of that nature.
Oh, he definitely needed things of that nature for sure. But yeah, sure, Phil's probably
Mark,
right.
that's your slogan, man. That's your words.
Turn to the side.
I love it when Mark pulls them out when he's on a podcast, like the know what I'm saying, like how you do that. I love that, man. It just rolls off the tongue. How's Breon's go? What he says. Oh, I think I might have dropped out there for a second. I think I think my computer hates having too many people on at one time, but we'll get to the open, and I'm sure it'll hold up. If I do have any audio issues, though, please let me know, guys. Let me get to that screen, and I'll bring up an interesting post that I saw. It was a comparison of Derek Lunsford last year. This is actually by Sanchez's page, Bodybuilding News Network. It's Derek Lunsford this year on the left, and then last year on the right. I mean, when you look at these photos, I'm like, this was one shot where I'm like, Derek is definitely better. But what did we think, guys? Do we think that Derek is better this year, or was he better last year? Because this is one shot here where I look at it, and while it's not scaled properly, maybe, his legs definitely seem to be a little bit rounder and fuller, at least in the quads last year, but the upper body seems a little bit fuller this year, to me at least anyway. What did you think, Mark?
I think that he was a little drier last year, to be honest with you. When I seen up close pictures, I don't know if it was Gilco or not, I seen his glutes from behind, and I thought, that's not Derek from last year. Yeah, I think he left the door open. But everywhere else, of course, if you're not popcorn fart dry, you're going to be full everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And he was very full in that upper body.
Yeah, I think he looked a little fuller, a little more separated in the upper body. Not to what people thought, you know, their expectations of him, but I think he improved a little bit on that aspect.
Yeah,
But the glutes
no,
were
I
not
agree.
as popcorn.
Yeah, we used to. There's a guy here in Australia that he literally had. There's just some of those people that just have like the no fat on their glutes when they compete, and he had that, and I just called him walnut ass because it just looked like a walnut. I don't know if you guys call it walnuts, but yeah, it was just like his butt cheeks just looked like there was nothing on there whatsoever.
Sean Roden.
And yeah,
I
and
always
Derek
say that
had.
about Sean Roden.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Derek had that like last year. It was so cut out, and they're still cut. Like you can't really complain about his condition in certain
absolutely.
shots, but
That's
we're holding these guys to Olympia winning standard. And obviously,
Exactly.
if Derek is a similar condition from a back to a Samson or something like that, you know, where it's not that much difference or it's quite comparable, then he loses that big advantage he has, because then from a front, I think Samson can win on conditioning. What do you think about that overall matchup, like in terms of Samson versus Derek? Because it seems like a lot of people are split, but a lot of people that I know that were there are saying Samson.
You're asking me?
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
You can't count out Hadi Choopan. I mean, Hadi Choopan condition wise, it's a little soft in his back. But Hadi Choopan's condition, it wasn't the same as Arnold. But I wouldn't say, listen, it's up for grabs. Derek, I think last year he was drier. I hear a lot of people saying that. I think the difference this year is he put on a whole lot of size. I would say a little bit of size, and that goes back to what I was saying. If you put on too much size too fast, when you got to bring it down to get that conditioning in and the lines and everything else in, sometimes it takes a toll where the body. You know, you got to mature into this muscle. You push it too fast, you're just not going to get the same results. I don't think that Derek needed to get bigger per se, probably just a little bit. His back is going to beat anybody regardless. Even last year, the same back was going to win this year, and he's winning now from the back. But I just think he was much drier. He just he had much more fortitude last year. I don't see, when you're coming to defend your title, and I'm hoping and praying he wins. He got to get up there and be very aggressive. I think he's a little timid because of how everything is going. And, you know, Samson did come in, my opinion, a little bit more improved, but I don't think he's winning. I think any three can. I just think Hadi Choopan, condition-wise, is the most conditioned one on the stage and has pretty much of everything. I just want to see now tonight, which we'll be watching, how drier. I think Derek is going to come in much drier, because I think he came in the nighttime, because I was there last year. He came in better at night than he was in the morning. So we'll see. Some people just perform better. Phil Heath did. He was Mr. Saturday Night. I think it's going to be very interesting tonight. It's hard to pick who we believe is going to win. I know a lot of people's going for Samson, but we got to see what comes in tonight, the difference, the changes, and it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a big battle, but I think Derek can pull it out if he brings what he needs to bring. I don't think he's getting. I think it's probably a 1 point difference or 1.5 point difference between all three of them. I don't think it's that far apart. So I think Derek can pull it out if he comes in and ready to go to war.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a close one. I want to quickly touch on a few of the other competitors, then we'll wrap this thing up so we've got enough time before this thing starts. Now, I want to discuss. I suppose I want to get your opinions before we discuss a couple of these other guys quickly. Who do you guys have winning this show? Who do you think will win it, and who do you think should win it? I'll go to you first, Mark. Who do you think? Yeah, firstly, will win it, and who do you think should win it?
If I was going to bet, I'd say they're going to keep it on Derek. But if they were asking me my opinion on who, and this is judged by pictures, obviously I wasn't there, I'd give it to Samson. It's probably an unpopular opinion, but I don't know. It's just something different. His legs are more in proportion with his upper body, and you look at the other two guys, and it's like their legs are so small. Like lengthwise, plus Samson has them filled out, and he brought condition, and he doesn't have to be the most conditioned, in my opinion. from behind. Oh,
Yeah, and looking at the condition side by side as well, because Samson is a bigger guy. Like Phil, like you're obviously a bigger guy as well, just in stature. You're not like when you expand a body over like 6 foot or taller, you're not going to have the same level of detail up close. But when you sort of like put them next to other guys, they all of a sudden look more detailed. And I've noticed that with Samson. Do you notice sort of the same, Phil?
Somewhat.
Not so much.
Listen, Samson is an awesome bodybuilder. He's a great guy, very, very, very great guy. But I'm looking at like a Sean Roden physique when he competed. He wasn't super big, just structurally he just flowed well, and he brought the killer conditioning that took out Phil, right?
Yeah.
So when I look at Samson, he has the structure to flow. Like Milos want to say hashtag bodybuilding, but you know what I mean. Pound for pound, even with the heights, even though say a taller guy ranks better. I mean, I went against Hassan. That guy is freaking packed with tons of muscle.
Yeah.
A beautiful structure, I think, can beat any shorter, muscle-bound bodybuilder any day of the week with conditioning. I think it's just very close. But if you're looking at size per square inch, if you look at him doing the double bicep in the last spread, it's not much of a difference between the three. You know what I mean? I think Derek looks much bigger than Hadi, which he is muscularity-wise. I don't know. I believe Derek will be 2 times. I truly do. But I think Samson is crawling up that wall. And if Samson comes in a little bit tighter tonight, then it's a whole different story.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I want to credit Derek with as well is that he seemed to bring the chest up in terms of the chest thickness. So when he was hitting, certain
Front
shots, like
left,
this looks a lot
especially.
better now. It's like rounder. Yeah, that just looks so much more complete now. The only thing that is not as good as maybe it seemed like his waist was a little bit more cinched last year, potentially, just like front on wise in that front lat spread.
So.
But overall, like the level of thickness on that upper body is completely wild. Like it is like he's bursting full this year, which I think this shot, like it's upper body wise, I think it looks better with that fuller chest. But I don't know how he grew his chest so much in 1 year. Like that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, Mark, just missing a little bit of that trademark Derek conditioning. But overall, it is still, you still got to say that's good conditioning, but just not quite as
absolutely. He was already,
yeah,
levels ahead of the competition as far as that. And Hadi's, Hadi's pretty peeled.
Yeah, I'll bring up some photos of Hadi as well because Hadi was still obviously like probably the most peeled guy out of all three. And he looks fantastic in these shots. I have heard people say there that I tended to have more people saying that Samson or Derek were winning that were there, but more people online are saying that Hadi's winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, there still was people saying him as well. I noticed in the RX wrap up there was 1 or 2 guys saying Hadi, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Most saying Derek, and then there's 1 or 2 I think saying Samson. So
could go either way.
When
that's exciting. That's bodybuilding,
isn't it? That is exciting. So I just don't think Hadi was. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't have the roundness or wasn't quite as thick from the side. But then you look at this back, and there's still a lot of thickness in that back. So Phil, do you think like if you were to judge it yourself, would you have Hadi winning, or like if you were judging?
Me personally, no disrespect to Derek, from what I'm seeing from prejudging. Once again, tonight's going to be different, but I think Hadi's going to come in even drier. I'm looking at Hadi, not just the fact that the muscle density and the size of his back. You got to look at his waist. When he turns to the side, the serratus. I mean, you see every detail on this guy. So at the end of the day, from what I'm seeing so far, that's who I believe is going to pull out the show. But once again, tonight could be different. But from what I saw from the prejudging, he looks just all around amazing. I don't see much of any flaws, except for somebody showing a circle around his right. I think it's right delt that they're talking about Sinval. I mean, I don't really see it that dramatically, but I think he can pull it out. It could go either way. But that waistline, that shot you're showing right there, it's going to come down to who's going to fight. And Hadi's coming to fight. I know everybody's coming to fight. Samson, whoever comes tonight to show these judges they want to win is good. Who's going to win? Point blank, cut and dry. I mean, I've been down that road. The level of energy I brought to Orlando, I was told I wasn't bringing that same type of energy. Prior to that, they need that feel back. So these guys got to fight. They got to come on that stage, stay on that line and in that box and bring the heat. That's all I can tell you.
Do not come out of the box at least more than once. That's for sure. But we
morning.
had Martin one morning, yeah. Probably 10 for C-Bum. But Martin Fitzwater, we'll quickly discuss him. What a debut. He can finish as high as 4th in his debut Mr. Olympia. I'm actually very proud of myself for calling it. I said back in 2022, I said Martin's going to be top 6, I believe, or first call out or something like that. I said in the 2024 Olympia. And I loved that I was proven right so far out because it was a bold call back then. And he's done it, and he's exceeded my expectations. Phil, what did you think of Martin in his debut Olympia?
When Martin's structure, I mean, I've competed against him twice, and we're 1-for-1 against each other when we competed. Martin's he's a great guy. He's young, beautiful structure. He almost took out Nick. I already had him being up here fighting for the top 6 spot. I already knew it was going to happen. And when Nick was unable to come in, I was telling Patty, he basically took Nick's spot. He just slept right in there. Now he's battling with the big boys for, the top 4 spot. So I'm very happy. I'm very proud of him. Very excited to see where it's came from. And he just has the body to prove it. He's a very hard worker. And he trains his ass off. So, yes, man, you nailed it. I'm very proud of him. I'm happy to see where he's at. Hopefully he comes tonight and put on a show.
Yeah, and he's turning almost into the new Quadzilla now as well. Like him and Brett Wilkin doing those workouts, it's definitely working for him. He's got the fully straighted, medialis, the lateralis. Like, I absolutely love to see it. And this most muscular, this is what's blowing me away because I'm looking at that, and for me, that's the best in the lineup. Does anyone agree? Because Hadi is known as the guy with the best, most muscular. Does anyone think this challenges Hadi in terms of just the most muscular shot?
Well, you put that towards Derek doing the crab. I hate to say it. I mean, striations going across his chest, his shoulders. That's a killer crab. Yeah. I mean, that shows the muscle density and the muscularity he's carrying with keeping that shape and structure. I mean, the sky's the limit for this kid. As long as he keeps his head wrapped tight and keep himself, in the right position and the right frame, he has a great, great career. Very, very great. And I think he can move up next year as long as he keeps himself, mentally straight.
Yeah, for sure. What did you think of Martin, Mark?
Oh, fantastic. No, and this is funny, too, because everybody's like, he can't be that close to Nick because he's not going to place like 4th at the Olympia. Well, yes, he is. And he, you know what I mean? It's like, well, he couldn't have been that close to Nick. Well, yes, he was. So he is that.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah,
the thing that annoys me as well is.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say is that people talk about bodybuilding judging as if like unless you take X amount of points off someone, then you're not close. And it's like the judges are voting like 1st or 2nd. And if even a couple of judges or one judge has someone else winning, that's a pro judge having someone else winning that's sitting right up there, up close. So if one of those judges has it, and then I say, oh, I had this person winning, and they're like, you're crazy. I'm like, you're calling these pro judges crazy then. Because they weren't unanimous.
Other people, Bob Chick said he had him beating him. I think he said he was there. A couple other people too were there. Dave Palumbo, I think.
Yep. And then we had Andrew Jacked, and I just want to discuss him quickly.
Oh,
and then, what do we think? I mean, Phil, like, if you told me this is the physique we're going to see on stage, I'm going to say, yeah, that's pretty damn good. But it looks like he's going to be having to settle for 4th, 5th, or 6th in this lineup.
Yeah, he might. I mean, he may fall short to 5th. Here's the problem. Andrew Jack, if he would have brought what he brought into Texas and just came in a little sharper, he did not need to come in bigger. He did not need to come. As soon as he started posing, me and Patty was like his stomach. His midsection control, that narrow waist he's always had, that's what really gives his physique that complete look. It was not the same. You can't put on size and don't expect the midsection is going to grow. Trust me, I know. You know what I mean? He should have kept that conditioning. Probably came in a little bit tighter from Texas because what we saw in Texas, that would have put him battling with those 3 guys tonight. He put on more size. His conditioning was okay. It wasn't sharp as Texas. And his midsection was a key thing. Steve, Tyler, they're big on that. I know that for a fact. The minute you let that go from a side shot, even sitting here and when he did the ab shot, it's just not the same. It's not the same Andrew we've seen in the past, and I think he knows that. He looks a little frustrated on stage. I know he knows something is not right. So we'll see where it goes from here. But yeah, it was the midsection and the conditioning was a little off.
Yeah, I wasn't too disturbed by the midsection, but we are used to it being like super tight, so I get what you mean. But yeah, it's not the same, and yeah, he didn't need to be bigger. There's a slight blur to the legs, I'd say, more than anything. That's what I sort of notice the most. And we'll wrap it up quickly because I know we've got to get to this Mr. Olympia, and Mark, I know you'll be wanting to watch it. But did anyone think that Andrew Jack was overlooked in any regard? Because that was sort of a talk online, at least what people were saying.
Yeah, I think he should have had an opportunity to mix it up a little bit. They've done that in the past, and then if he falls in fifth place, sixth place, where they want to put him, that's fine. Just for the excitement, I think it would have been good to put him in the mix just to see like him and Samson standing side by side, and then him and Derek. I believe personally they should have mixed it up, gave him an opportunity. That's the sad part. I think the fans wanted to see that, and we didn't get an opportunity. Now tonight, we might. We may be able to see that tonight. We'll see.
Because that front double still might beat everyone. Because it still looks crazy, like very, and he's not in bad condition. It's just not inside out.
No.
But thank you guys. I want to thank you so much for doing this. I just want to chuck up, not chuck up sounds bad, put up the photos here of Hunter Labrada on the way out because I thought he made some great improvements as well. This, I think, is his best ever, and he's going to be mixing it up in there. And he might be a lock for 6th or potentially something higher for him. But yeah, very, very happy for Hunter as well. But thank you guys. I appreciate you doing this last minute so much. And yeah, enjoy the 2024 Mr. Olympia. And thank you to everyone that joined in live and that are watching on replay, which is probably very few people.
All right, brother. Thank you for having me. Mark, you take care, buddy.
Yeah, you too, guys.
Appreciate it, my man. And we will as well be going live just after this. I'll put the link in the description, in the live chat as well. And I'll be live on that channel at that link in about 20 minutes. So thank you guys so much. That's it for myself, Xavier Wills, IFB Pro, Phil Klahar, and Mark from Mark's Max Muscle. I'll also put, just go check him out on YouTube. Search Mark's Max Muscle. Tons of great comparisons over Olympia weekend. So that's it for us, for all of us at Desktop Bodybuilding. We are out.